Welcome to Curiousaholic. My name's Evan, and I'm with my favorite piano player, Haiko.
Hello, beautiful people.
So, before we get into today's topic, here's a quick rundown on how the podcast works. Each episode, one of us chooses a topic they're curious about and reveals it live to the other person in the hopes to spark a deep discussion and to further our knowledge of the world around us.
Let's do it.
You ready? We had a little layoff there, couple weeks.
Yeah, we did. Life
Yeah.
happens.
I got sick, guys. I'm sorry.
It's all right. We're back on it.
Got a sinus infection.
Man,
Well, we're here now, so that's
feeling
what counts.
better.
Doing better.
Yep, that's what counts.
All right. So, have you been following the Montreal Canadiens lately? I know you like hockey, so
I
much.
love hockey.
It's your favorite sport, right?
Oh, it is one of my favorites. I can't get enough. I watch every conference final.
That's the funny part, right? They got through the conference final, and now they're in the finals.
Oh wow. Okay. I mean, the only thing I knew about the Canadian, Montreal, is that they sucked apparently for a while in the recent past. So, but now apparently they're having a comeback.
Yeah, they're having a comeback, but unfortunately they're losing the series 3-0 in the finals. So
Oh, okay. So that's not looking
it's
good.
not looking good.
Oh,
Tampa Bay is ruining our hopes here in Montreal.
oh, damn.
I'm not a huge hockey fan, but I've been following the playoffs a little bit.
Just a bit, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm using that as my teaser today, but
Okay.
we're not going to speak about hockey, don't worry.
Okay, I mean, if you have an interesting point of view on it or
Yeah.
something about sports in general, sure. But
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that we use sports as our teaser kind of often, but
yeah, it's true.
yeah, I've used it a couple of times.
Right.
But yeah, so all that to say, a lot of Quebecers are really excited that the Montreal Canadiens are representing Quebec for hockey and to be in the finals, and they're like ecstatic that Montreal is finally in the finals after I think since 1993 now. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so it's
Wait,
been,
since then they haven't been in the finals?
They haven't won the Stanley Cup since 93, and I don't think they've been in the finals either since 93.
Oh, okay.
So, so many Quebecers are excited about that. A lot of, support rallies in Montreal and everyone going for their team. And do you see where I'm going with this? Or
Are we gonna talk about mob mentality, maybe?
Oh, you're so close. Okay. So, how you rally around like a certain group, or how do you call that again? Do you remember? Like you're really attached to a group or even a country, or
like an ideology or a group identity or
Yeah, you're pretty close. I'll give it to you. So I'm going to talk about patriotism.
Oh, okay. I think that was kind of my next thing. Well, actually, I was going to say like the Montreal's, Canadians are kind of like a national pride for
Exactly, right?
the Quebecers here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so today's topic is going to be about patriotism, and I hope you like that segue because
No, that was good.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the topic too.
yeah, it's a good topic, and like I said, I'm using Quebec as an example because depending where you're from, you might not know a lot about Quebec's history and how a lot of people are here. A lot of people are very attached to our province, and a lot of people are debating still whether Quebec should be its own country or if it should be still a province part of Canada. So we had two referendums where the population would vote either for the separation of Quebec or be part of Canada still, right? So I'm not making this political in any way because I'm not really addressing Quebec as like our target, it's not really that. I'm just talking about patriotism in general, right?
In general, yeah.
Because so many countries experience that, and I just want to delve into it because I feel like not a lot of people talk about that.
No, it's an interesting topic, and where can patriotism lead people to?
Yeah.
To what extremes?
I'm glad that you're saying that because we're definitely gonna get into that.
Ooh.
And I think you probably know what I'm gonna start discussing. You probably have an
some
idea.
pictures of America here.
Oh no, it's not even that. Actually, I don't want to talk about the States. Sorry, guys.
Forget about the States.
No, we're gonna talk about some conflicts that are less talked about that probably actually relate to you a little more.
Oh, okay.
A little bit.
Interested
We're
now.
going to talk about that a little bit, but not the whole discussion. Anyways, so another thing that kind of inspired me to discuss this topic was actually a conversation we had at dinner the other day. We were eating at like a Greek restaurant, and we started talking about how when we visit like other countries, for example, when I visited Italy, I found a lot of a lot of people there were very centered on their own culture, and they didn't know that much about, let's say the outside world or any countries that are next to them in Europe. They don't really know about that type of thing, or even about, America as much. And it was funny because I had to tell them how it was here, and they didn't know anything about it. And not that it's bad, but it's like I feel like so many countries are just self-centered on themselves that they don't know what's going on around, and that's could be a bad thing in a sense.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a bit sad because you're like oblivious to the outside world. Especially if you live in the Western world, it's mainly dominated by the American point of view of the whole world. If you're in Canada, UK, whatever, it's like how the Americans see the world. That's how everybody else sees the world. But then when you go to the other end of the planet and you go to Asian countries and you see all these different cultures and tribes and people, you're like, wow, okay, man, people really do live in different ways, and it's okay. Everyone has their own way of living, and we should be a bit more open to those different lifestyles.
Exactly. And it's kind of funny, just kind of to circle back a second. I mentioned Europe, and right now it's also the Euro Cup. So that's also another example of like, those nationalist, like people supporting their country, and for soccer, football, whatever you want to call it.
It's even more fortified.
It's even more, right. Yeah. Like even in Montreal here, I don't think we're a super big soccer country or fanatics here, and everyone has flags on their cars. Like, it's crazy. People are really, they're going for their country and
backing their own
teams.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I feel like most of us are born here, and we're still supporting that one team, like Italy or Portugal, or it's crazy.
Or even if we've never lived there, just because it's our nationality of origin.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, people are really, proud of who they are in a sense. And yeah, like I said, something that sparked that discussion was when we were talking at dinner, and you were saying how I was saying in Italy, a lot of people, are focused on their own culture. They don't know much about what's happening outside. And you were saying the same thing for Armenia. It was the same kind of idea, right?
A bit closed off too, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're starting to open up a bit more, become a bit more westernized, if you will.
Yeah.
But
no, I'm not saying that Italy is closed-minded or something. I just, for me, it was almost like a culture shock when I went there, because, we're so accustomed to things here, and we're so, like, I feel like in America and Canada, let's say, we're pretty open-minded to different things, and then you go to other countries. Yeah, usually. And then we go to other countries, and I was like, wow, this, like, it's so different, like things that we're accustomed to here, they're not accustomed to there. And
yeah. A lot of times when it comes to, more like social liberties and such,
sexual preference,
stuff like that,
that
gender identity and whatnot,
we got into that once.
Yeah, like they might be advanced technologically or other ways, but maybe culturally you see how they're still maybe kind of old school and not as liberal or progressive like some of our Western countries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the kind of the inspiration that I had for this.
Cool.
So yeah, let's get into more of like the technical side of what patriotism is.
Yeah.
So let's look at a definition.
Cool.
So patriotism or national pride is the feeling of love, devotion, and sense of attachment to a homeland or the country, and alliance with other citizens who share the same sentiment to create a feeling of oneness among the people. That's a pretty
lengthy,
intense and lengthy definition, but essentially it's kind of what we were saying, right? And kind of like latent, how do you call it? Latent terms?
In layman terms.
Layman.
Yeah.
That's the word. I couldn't find the word.
Okay.
Yeah. Essentially it's just, someone feels a strong attachment to either a nation or a group or even a religion, I would say almost. Maybe not religion, but to a group, right? And a sports team, it could even be that, right? We kind of mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, patriotic to the team, yeah.
And yeah, feeling that like a strong sense of love and passion for that team or that group.
Okay, so are you going like with the definition of like related to a country or to a group?
It could be I don't want to make it specific to a country or anything. I want to make it vague, general. We could talk about all of it because essentially it comes down to the same thing.
But does it say in the definition that it's okay? Because I think it's more related to the attachment of a homeland or a country. I think patriotism.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe the definition doesn't specify for but I think I think having like an attachment to a group is also kind of an extension to the homeland, right? For example, being attached to Montreal Canadiens is kind of an extension of loving the homeland, which is Quebec, or right.
Okay, and that's
so in a sense, we're attached to certain elements of the culture that are associated to Quebec, right?
Okay,
and that leads us to have like a patriotic
maybe any sort of alliance that represents kind of your core identity or your core kind of
exactly
culture and who you are, where you came from.
Exactly. So any kind of like you said, attachment or alliance, I would say. So that's kind of the definition. I mean, I think we kind of put it simpler earlier. I mean, in simpler terms, because that's pretty like we said, it was a
that's a dictionary.
I was like, this is a dictionary. So that's kind of like the definition. So let's address this right away. So why do people feel so attached to their own nations? Like what causes this to happen?
There is, I think, also like biological factors or just, innate to humans where you want to have a sense of belonging to just a certain community. It could be like your hometown, your family, your extended family, or even more extended, your nation or your country you're from. It's kind of like a bit innate in us. We want to feel, okay, I'm part of this group, that I'm not just floating in the void, part of nothing, right? So I think it comes innately, and also it's just reinforced through the culture you live in, just the movies you watch, the music that you listen, or just the people you surround yourself with. They all say you gotta love your country, you gotta protect, or you gotta join the military, or how your country goes to war with another country, and if you get attacked, then it's like, oh, we gotta defend ourselves, so let's all band together. So that again reinforces your patriotic sentiment.
That's that. You said that pretty well. So simply, like you said, just kind of to recap what you said, I think feeling empowered, right? Just belonging to a group, and to to feel like you're wanted by others, and to be proud of where you're from, who you are, and that type of thing. So I think the main reason, I think, is that feeling of empowerment. I think people want that. They want to feel they want to feel wanted. They want to feel like they're part of something. They want to feel like the outsider, for example, right?
Exactly.
So I think we agree on that for sure. And that comes with pride, right? Like you're proud of where you're from. And that kind of goes hand in hand, I'd say, with empowering yourself with that idea. So pride, for sure. Like people are proud of who they are.
People are all usually prideful of what they have, and again, I think it's an innate feeling, and it gets reinforced through the culture.
So now we kind of looked at like the positives, I would say, but how about like the other spectrum? Some people are so attached, so obsessed by like their nation or their group that they follow, that it almost like they're almost like that because they're closed-minded to everything else, right? They just believe in that one thing, but they close off everything else. So do you think that could be a byproduct of closed-mindedness? I think so, right?
Okay, like if you're a closed-minded person, then you'll be more patriotic, you mean, or
Yeah, like extremely patriotic. Like that's
Okay.
all you believe in because you're not looking at any other option, right? You're not looking at
Well,
what's
yeah.
on the outside, right? So I think that could lead us towards being super, attached to a nation.
Yeah, that's pretty logical. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're a closed-minded person in general, then you're gonna be pretty patriotic.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
also something else that comes with that in terms of, like closed-mindedness and whatnot, racism, right? Some people just want to stick to their own nation and their own people. Like, we have the best stuff here. No one's better than us. No. That could lead to like racism, right?
Yeah.
Not believing that anyone else is good or anyone else has good products or sells, that we're the best at everything. That's racism essentially, and
That's
everyone
even-
else sucks.
That's even like wider than patriotism. It's like international even racism, because it doesn't matter if you're American, Canadian, English. If you're white, let's say if you're racist against black people, if you're white, you're okay. No matter if from which country, white
Yeah,
people are
yeah.
okay, or black people are not. So it's even more broader than
Right. Yeah,
patriotism.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Which
yeah,
could be even more dangerous. Yeah.
exactly. So I think those are the reasons why people get attached. Sometimes for a good reason, sometimes for a bad reason, right? Some people get attached to certain groups and they think it's for a good cause, but essentially it's because they're racist or they're prejudiced, right? Let's say some people follow the Ku Klux Klan, right? You could have an attachment to this group, but are you following that group for a right reason, like a good reason? No, you're not. You're following that group because you're a racist piece of crap. Sorry.
Oh
but,
damn.
but
Well, yeah, because you haven't been taught otherwise. You haven't been shown, your mind hasn't been open to other cultures and how everyone is human and equal.
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You,
So
you've been taught that racism is taught. It's not learned.
Yeah.
That is a fact. Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing. So I think you could follow a certain group for the right reasons and also for the wrong reasons. Like, you need to find that that balance. Why are you following a group? Are you doing yourself good by following this group or this country or this right, or even this political party, for example?
Yeah, exactly. Are you doing? Are you following, or are you aligning yourself with this group to the detriment of other people or other groups?
Right. That's well said for sure.
So that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Are you just following for your own personal gain?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So those are some good points, I think. Yeah, so kind of to elaborate on that.
Yeah.
So could that overwhelming sensation of patriotism and that overwhelming attachment to a nation, could that lead to conflict? Could that lead to issues and social problems, right? I think
Duh.
for sure, right?
Just look at history in general.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're going to get into the heat of it,
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, conflicts could arise because people are closed-minded, right? If there's one group that's racist and they're going to cause conflict, it's just inevitable in a sense, right?
Well, yeah, because if you just think you're the only one who's right, your country is the best, everyone else is in the wrong, and you see everyone in the as an enemy, then obviously conflict is just in the horizon.
Yeah, it's inevitable, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if someone just portrays hate on another nation, right? How could two nations get along? It just doesn't make sense. Like, if one nation hates on another one for no reason, right? Then how could there not be a
can't.
conflict?
You can't, yeah, because if your goal is just to, attack or defend because you think they're enemies, then you'll never be able to bridge, differences between you and the other nations.
Exactly. Yeah.
You'll always be ready with your guns to attack.
Yeah. And the funny part, well, it's not funny, sorry. The crazy part is that this like conflict could arise between two nations, right? Let's say one country against another, right? But it could also happen internally. That's what's crazy, right? If there's one group that gets all this attention, right, from people, but they don't necessarily have good values, then that's just going to cause an internal conflict, right? Like again,
A civil war.
right? A civil war, like we mentioned, the Ku Klux Klan, for example, they didn't have good values, or they still don't have any good values, and that caused for a lot of conflict and a lot of issues in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
And even to come back to our province, we had the FLQ, which is a similar terrorist group.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it was in the 70s.
In the 70s, yeah.
Where they planted bombs in like
Yeah.
mailboxes.
So just to give you guys a little background, in Quebec we had this terrorist group called FLQ, which stands for Front Libération du Québec, I believe, and that just means like
The Liberation Front of Quebec.
yeah. So basically, essentially, they were an extremist group that wanted the liberation of Quebec, and they would, cause terrorist acts on other people that weren't necessarily French, or that wanted the separation of Quebec, that were attached to Canada and whatnot. So
Yeah.
that's a form of racism. It's a form of terrorism. Essentially, they were killing people and doing bad stuff, right? So
Because they identified with one, like group or way of thinking, and
yeah.
to their nation being independent from Canada, so they would go to all lengths to achieve their goals.
See, like, I'm not picking any sides here. I'm not saying like I want Quebec to be separated or I want it to be part of Canada. I'm just saying either way, the FLQ is wrong for what they did, and it shouldn't be, that shouldn't have happened, period.
Exactly, yeah. The extremists,
Yeah.
basically.
You shouldn't use violence to justify like your point of view. It doesn't make sense, right? That's just a general rule that everyone knows.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So, yeah, I don't want to compare like our situation to the US or whatever, but we had that here too. It's kind of crazy to think about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as prevalent as in some other countries, but yeah.
That's over for. We haven't had the FLQ active
Since
here
whenever.
since a long time now, but glad that we don't have that crap anymore, because
Yeah, exactly. Now we're just trying to see, should we speak only French or
yeah. Now we're trying to remove French from like restaurant names and
no English? Yeah,
oh, I'm sorry, English. Yeah.
just make everything French, and it's like,
Yeah. I
Anyways.
just wish we could all, get along.
yeah,
Yeah.
just be equal, and both languages are nice.
Yeah. I have nothing wrong about French. I speak French. And
Same.
you speak French too, right? So I went to French school, but I just find this conflict, like,
Like trying to force people in a certain
Anyways,
way.
Yeah.
But
We're not going to get into that too
political.
much. Yeah, I'm not going to make it political, but we need to find balance to some degree. I
Maybe
think,
some of those leaders are a bit patriotic.
yeah, little bias,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's for that. So now we're gonna get into even deeper, right? Extreme
Okay.
patriotism. That's kind of what we
were
kind of discussed a
talking
little bit.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's one example that I think you kind of relate to more than I do. For example, you know what I'm gonna bring up, right?
Yeah, the Armenian conflict. Yeah.
So that's an example, I think, of extreme patriotism on, what's the nation called?
Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
Azerbaijan, yeah.
So can you elaborate a little bit of the details of the conflict if you want?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this conflict, happened mainly last year in September, October, until maybe even December. It kind of like dragged out, but yeah, basically it was the Azerbaijan government who like ordered like an attack on a piece of land that's like a bit outside of Armenia that Armenia has been occupying, but technically it was known to be Azerbaijan's land. But Armenians had that place for, since the 90s. And even if it wasn't officially part of Armenia, Armenians kind of, related to it. And, of course, they also were patriotic of their own nation.
Right?
So
I was
I'm not
gonna say
saying, only the Azerbaijani or, the patriotic ones. Armenians as well. Since we're such a little country, they do have that sense of pride of, our nation. We must protect it because they've been so, oppressed during the times and centuries, you know, first by like the Ottoman Empire, you know, the genocide that the Turks tried to
which is a real genocide, by the way. Anyone that thinks that's bullshit, I'm sorry. Don't listen to our podcast.
Exactly. You know, it's been proven over and over again.
Biden just recognized it as a legitimate genocide, which, like, his opinion doesn't really matter. Everyone knew it was freaking.
Most countries have, you know, accepted it, and there's plenty of proof. So, anyways, we're not gonna try to, you know, say if it happened because it did.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that kind of also stayed in the psyche of Armenian people, where they've always felt like, you know, oppressed. And then you have, you know, Azerbaijan who, you know, started attacking that land and trying to take that region. And, you know, there was like a back and forth, a lot of young people, young adults, you know, 19, 20-year-olds who were killed in those battles. And then at the end, there was a deal that was made that part of that land be given to officially to Azerbaijan, and, you know, Armenians to back off from some of those villages. So, you know, yeah, it, you know, as much as Azerbaijan was saying, no, this land is ours because, you know, our nation, you know, it belongs to us. And then Armenian people were like, no, it belongs to us because, you know, we've been living here for such a while, you know, and so yeah, both parties, you know, both countries wanted to have their sense of belonging protected, but then, you know, they couldn't come to a mutual understanding.
Yeah.
You know.
And this caused for obviously war and, you know, a lot of dead soldiers and crap, you know, sadly. Civilians and unfortunate for sure.
Exactly.
And yeah, I've been wanting to bring this up on the podcast for so long because it's so like not a lot of people talk about it, you know. It's crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't as mainstream in the news as other things, obviously, you know. I mean, there are other conflicts for sure that are going on even that I might not be aware of it, but it also kind of shows how the media can kind of, you know, focus on a few things,
especially during last year when this conflict was, you know, like on the up and coming, and the whole attention of the world was COVID, and this was kind of put in the dust, you know. But thousands of people were getting killed, and, you know,
nobody bats an eye.
Yeah, exactly. Everything was about the virus, you know.
It kind of overshadowed basically everything. I even saw like a YouTube video, actually a 2-part series YouTube video, where the title was basically everything you missed during COVID.
Oh my god. That's a good video.
So it went through every single country and basically said all the news that you missed.
Oh, that's crazy.
Which, you know, kind of shows.
Yeah, so that 100% is an example of extreme, you know, patriotism. For sure.
And if I remember, like, the president of Azerbaijan, you know, has this kind of very hatred against, you know, Armenian people, saying, you know, all of your country belongs to us, even saying, you know, we're going to come straight to your capital and overtake that. And it's like, what the hell, man?
And that comes back to what we said earlier, right? It comes back to why are you, like, why do you have an attachment to a nation? Are you attached to your own nation for the proper reasons, right? He seems to be like attached to his nation for, you know, like to conquer and to take over and stuff, and even racism, you know, Armenia, it doesn't belong to you guys, it belongs to us, you know, and stuff like that. That's not right, you know.
And that's a good point, because, you know, I guess the good part of being patriotic could be, you know, being prideful of your culture, the arts, the philosophies, and the ideologies, the things that your country brings.
Yeah,
you
the
know,
food, everything, right?
Yeah, what do you bring to the world? Not how you're gonna take over the world.
Right, exactly. Take over the world, legit. That's what he seems like he wants to do, this guy. That's
basically it.
Yeah. So you need to find balance. Like, why are you following a group? Is it for the right or the wrong reasons?
Yeah.
And, you know,
are you proud of, you know, the good things your country has to offer, or, you know,
or are you happy that, like, you're taking over?
Yeah,
and,
oppressing
you know,
other
you
countries.
have the most money, and you know, is that why you like your country, or is it for exactly the good that it brings to other people, right?
The good reasons or the wrong reasons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an example of extreme patriotism. And do we have any other examples that we could discuss off the top of my head? Well, we mentioned a couple, right? Like people that are attached to, terrorist groups, and it could be anything. Al Qaeda, it could be ISIS, it could be FLQ, it could be Ku Klux Klan. All those gangs. Like these people are attached for the entire wrong reasons, right? They're missing the whole point of what it is to be prideful towards a nation or a group.
Yeah, they're not really patriotic. They're just terror groups, really.
Yeah, they're terrorists, and they're not bringing good to the world. And if you're justifying being part of that group because you're prideful, and you're attached because you like that idea, you're just in it for the wrong reasons, and that's how it is. You know what I mean?
You're just bringing more suffering and more destruction.
Yeah,
than the betterment.
It doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
To be wanting to be part of a group like that, right?
So their values basically.
Yeah, their values are all over the place. They're not, they're not preaching good values, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there's definitely something wrong.
Yeah, there's something wrong. Just to come back to that, some people think that Muslims are. Some people have the wrong idea, right? They think that the religion preaches these terrorist and extreme values, whereas that's not the case. It's the terrorist groups that teach these outrageous and outlandish values, you know what I mean? And people hate towards Muslim people because they think that's how it is, but in reality it's not, right? Muslim people don't that's not what the religion states, right? To cause terror and to kill others and whatever the fuck those groups do, right?
I get what you're saying. I guess that's what's also the bad side of these extremist group is that they paint a bad picture of the general group
exactly
that they're sort of related to, and people are like, oh, these terrorists kill people. Well, it must mean all of this group must kill people. It means
all Muslims kill people. That's so stupid. Like that's not how it works. There's so many. I'm sure there are groups that are Christian too that aren't necessarily preaching the right stuff.
I bet the Ku Klux Klan is Christian.
Yeah, exactly, right. And why don't people start hitting on Christians and stuff like that? It's because it's not fair, because people just like picking targets for nothing,
Yeah, but I think that also ties into how the media and movies and whatnot portray
exactly
these people.
Picking targets, right? Picking the easy target. Oh, look, it's all the Muslim countries that are the bad guys, and
But if we're talking about people who are very patriotic of their country, we can't deny America, United States.
Yeah, for sure.
They're very, very patriotic, Not everyone, okay, obviously, but there's a lot of the population that they're like, America, yeah.
Yeah, but it's, what? It's fine if you want to do that. I mean, sure. But, be prideful for the right reasons. Be attached to America for what it brings.
But that's it. But yeah, most of them aren't. That's the problem.
Aren't?
Yeah, aren't. Yeah, a lot of those people who are very patriotic, they're just, us Americans, we're the best. We got all the greatest things.
Exactly. I would say those are the wrong reasons, right? You're just thinking about yourself almost, like, why do you like America? Oh, because, I can make a lot of money here because,
we're great.
Because we're great, that's not the right reason.
Food is great or everything is great. And
no, we got cheap beer or something, like that doesn't make sense. That's not why you should be attached to your nation. You should be, you should talk about other things that America brings to the world, know?
How do you guys benefit everyone else?
Yeah. I mean, America's at the forefront of so many freaking things in life, medicine, science. Like, be proud of that. Don't be proud of, the cash you could bring home or something. I don't know, because you live in the States, or I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't be proud, again, at the detriment of others.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to bring up with regards to that.
Cool.
So how can we prevent that? How can we prevent that? We kind of always, it's always the same progression in this podcast. Have a problem,
the solution. How can we prevent that? Well, it's again through education, teaching the right values from the childhood. From when a kid is young. How can we prevent that? I mean, honestly, in my own opinion, I find being patriotic just
meh.
Yeah, meh. And to kind of, bring a quote from someone that we spoke about in our last episode, Jacques Fresco,
Oh, yes.
the founder of the Venus Project, because he's all about global nation, bring everyone together. So for him, he said that patriotism is kind of like a disease. He said that because when you're so patriotic, it can lead to becoming extreme and just close-minded and not wanting to open yourself to other people. Whereas he says, if you just say, no, I am patriotic to the human race, to our whole, earth, everyone, then that will help you, better, be suited to help each other out. Which that's where I belong. As much as I'm Canadian or Quebec or whatever, and technically speaking, I say that I belong to the human race, and we're just all on an equal field.
Come together.
Yeah, there are a lot of songs, basically.
The Beatles.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah.
Come Together by the Beatles.
Oh, okay. I don't listen to it much.
Me neither.
Okay. But so basically, how to prevent it, I would say just to not promote it as much. I would say promote more the side of being open to everyone on earth, not teach kids from the get-go, like, let's say if you're in America, how America is great, and we did
Right.
this and we conquered this and blah blah blah.
Those history classes that everyone has to follow.
Well, yeah, basically every history class promotes your own country.
Oh, that's what it is.
I mean, that's what it is.
What did you learn in history class here? Canadian history, what we did, how we grew. That's what it is.
How Quebec, was oppressed and did this, and they conquered and they survived and whatever. Yeah, okay, we can talk about the nation we're in, but also let's talk about how other nations benefited us. And because at the end of the day, you don't live in a void in your country. You are just naturally attached to every other country. And
yeah, look, at the end of the day, we're all human beings, man. We all live on the same planet. We're,
basically, yeah.
As cliche as that sounds, we're all human. We're all, we have two legs, we have two arms. Like, we all have a brain. Like, what makes us so freaking different from one another?
Nothing. It's
nothing.
But if you look at it technically, it's all made up. Like,
it is all made up.
You're American, you're Canadian, but what?
And these border lines between countries and stuff, like, that's all bullcrap,
that's all
right?
drawn out.
It's all drawn out, and it's all in our heads.
Did like the tribes, indigenous people or the Native Americans, did they have any nation or anything? No, they just traveled around, whatever. They didn't care about any borders. Oh, you're here, you must be Mexican.
They didn't have to pay like border, fees every time they crossed.
They didn't have to sign off custom borders.
Yeah. Like cavemen, you think they cared about, it's like, oh wow, look, a new piece of land, this forest.
Let's just
here
go there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see how back in the day we were kind of more, on the same playing field, and we just all shared this. But as nations grew, populations grew, people wanted to control resources, so they created countries and nations.
You know what's really interesting about something we just kind of brought up? You know how we said cavemen would kind of just explore and go forward and find new pieces of land, whatever. But what's crazy is that even to back then, there would be tribes that would actually fight for territory as well. That's just who we are, as like, it's innate, almost like you mentioned earlier, right? That you want to belong to something, and that, I feel like that's just innate in us. From the get-go, from the beginning.
So it's a good point. I think I was making it out to be like,
super simple. No, but I know what you mean. It's because it's interesting to look at both perspectives too.
But I guess we have the innate part, which is like, I want to belong and I want to be prideful and protect my territory. But we have evolved to such a point now where we don't need to rely on those primal instincts to relate it to each other. We're like, hey, look, we have this super advanced, technologically advanced society. Let's share. Let's, bridge gaps. And
even if you want to bring that even further, you could even think about how animals, like, they fight over territory too, even though they don't have, like, it's subconscious. They just know that, hey, this is mine. I want to keep this part because, I could hunt here and because that's what we want to do, right? We want to survive, you know. If we don't have land to ourselves, we won't be able to hunt, we won't be able to sleep, and that's maybe why we feel so connected to a piece of land, you know, like
I guess so, yeah,
super
because
innate,
it provides sustenance and
Exactly,
it provides
yeah.
a shelter and, you know, a safe haven. And if
Right.
it gets attacked, then you want to protect it. You don't want to say, "Oh, we all belong together."
Yeah.
You know,
Right. Yeah. So I guess it probably comes from that, right? From
from our innate biological and how we've evolved. But I think because we also have a frontal lobe and we're able to think and have the brain for it, so we're like, okay, wait a moment, you know, let's have everyone's basic needs met. Going back to the Venus project, so that we don't have to fight and be, you know, protective of my nation. You know, you're gonna steal my food or my resources. No, I'm gonna protect it. And
yeah. And as much as we have that consciousness now, we still do that. We still fight for nothing, for, you know, resources and for. It's funny, we're coming back to that topic, but
because it's so like ingrained.
yeah,
and
it's so ingrained, right?
Such a huge source of the issue, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so yeah, basically how to prevent it is just to be more educated, you know, preferably early childhood, the values that we teach to people, and just to avoid generally being super patriotic and more
I would say so.
open to the world.
Yeah. I think the more open you are to anything in life, right? Not just, you know, to a nation or to other people.
Just different ideas.
Yeah, I think you'll grow as a person. Hey, this is my opinion. It could be completely wrong and you could take it with a grain of salt, but you know, I think the more you're open-minded to different things in life and different people and different cultures and different, you know, opinions, that's how you become a better person. That's how you expand your mind, which is the entire freaking point of this podcast.
Basically, yeah.
You know?
So if you want to become a better person, listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
Make your kids listen to our podcast.
Share it to your grandchildren.
Oh, wow. Let them have children first. But
Yeah. But yeah, that's the whole thing, right? The more open-minded you are, the better you become in everything, in anything in life.
yeah, you just how could I say this?
You evolve.
Yeah, you basically don't put yourself a blockade to not, you know,
Yeah. Surpassing
better.
yourself.
Yeah, basically, yeah. As soon as you say, no, okay, this is all I know, this is the best, there's
Right.
nothing better, then you're
Exactly.
stalling. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's, you know, that's kind of. Oh no, we do have another thing.
You gotta forget.
Yeah, so one last thing.
All right.
So you kind of answered that already. Is patriotism a good ideology to follow, or is it a bad one? What do you think? You said it already that you don't
I
think it's
don't necessarily
But do you think
agree.
there's do you think there are pros and cons to that, or
I guess, yeah, as we said, like in the sense of, you know, being patriotic to, you know, the culture you bring and, you know, the arts and foods and language and whatnot, you know, the good stuff and the interesting stuff that people can learn from and also grow. Yes. But other than that, patriotic in the sense of like being closed off and just protecting your own country and not trying to help other people, no.
yeah, but also like to figure out who you are as a person, right? Just figuring out like your heritage and like figuring like in that sense too. You could have a better idea of who you are.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, in that sense, because again, biologically, we want to be like, okay, well, I'm on this earth. Who do I belong to? The Chinese, to the Americans, to the, you know.
Yeah.
You can have that baseline. Okay, I'm an American. Cool, but I don't need to be American only and F everyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
So yeah, I think there are definitely pros and cons, and we mentioned a lot of them. But some pros, I think, yeah, you know, figuring out who you are as a person, where you come from, what you're good at, maybe, who knows, like maybe you'll figure something out about yourself, you know, find your talents, or I don't know, could be, you know, as wild as that. Maybe like your your ancestor is like a gladiator or something. He had some like he would beat
they
up
were
some bad
Vikings.
guys or something. Yeah, you were Vikings or something. You have some like some strength, you know,
And then
for some deadlifts or something.
I'm summoning back the Vikings.
Yeah, you
you
could
know,
summon the
in me.
Vikings or something. But yeah, I'm sure there are some positives to it, and the negatives. Obviously, we delved into that, so
Pretty much, yeah.
don't really have to reiterate.
No.
So yeah, I think
Yeah, that's-
balance, right?
Again, yeah, comes to that.
Comes to that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it is.
It's always that.
We every episode we always converge back to
Have a balance.
have a balance. But you know what? Like if you have balance in everything, you'll go
There
far.
will never be, like an opportunity for it to be bad, because as
Right.
we notice, it's always in the extremes that the bads happen.
Yeah,
Either
exactly.
in the positive, if you will, or in the negative.
Yeah, if you're too inclined to be on one side, then something's gonna happen, right? Especially with something like this,
Something's gonna be off balance.
something's gonna be off balance, and something bad's gonna happen. Conflict, whatever it may be.
Exactly. Yeah,
So yeah.
I agree.
So any final thoughts?
Any final thoughts? Yeah, just basically just be a bit more open-minded. You can love your country and your culture and whatnot, but don't do it to the detriment
And you
of
should.
other countries.
You
and-
should love who you are, right? Don't hate yourself. Oh, I'm Italian. Like, why the fuck am I Italian? Like, who cares? No, like, love yourself, love who you are, respect where you're from, but don't hate others just because you're from a certain country or certain province, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, don't be shameful, or let's say if you're German and you're like, oh, Nazi Germany, that was bad, and I feel bad.
Right,
and,
yeah, that's another one, right? Some people actually feel that, like,
Yeah.
oh man, why am I German now? People are gonna hate me just because of that. No,
Yeah.
be proud.
Well,
of
they
who
did
you
for a
are.
while. I think now, Germany is okay, but
Yeah, I'm sure.
after the World War,
Right.
Germany felt like, oh my God, we effed up really bad.
Yeah, or even like Jewish people, like, oh, I'm Jewish. There's always that stigma, like,
Yeah.
of what happened,
We
and
control money or something.
or something like that,
Yeah.
or the conflict with Germany. Like, there's always going to be stigmas attached to a certain culture, but at the end of the day, it's just important to love yourself and who you are,
Yeah.
and where you're from,
And just show love towards other people and
Yeah.
other nations and races, and hopefully reciprocate that.
Yeah, and if you think about it, right? Let's say you are German,
Yeah.
and you have that stigma attached, like, of the whole, Nazi Germany situation. But if you as a person, you love others, and you don't preach any of the stuff that happened back in the 1940s, and you don't do any of that stuff, that makes you a good person, and you're almost making up for all that bad stuff that happened, right?
Well, yeah. You're trying to unwind
Yeah.
the whole stigma.
Yeah. So you're doing your part, right?
Basically, yeah. That's how you bring about change.
Yeah. So those are my thoughts. I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it, man.
All right. That was a good one.
Great topic.
Yeah. All right. So we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for listening.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
All right. Play us out.
Catch you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Curiousaholic.
Our show is available on all of your favorite streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher.
If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure to leave a comment letting us know what you've been curious about.
We release new episodes every single week just like this one.
But until next time, stay curious, folks.